This week we're going to be practicing doing decimal addition and subtraction. We're going to work on problems that have a few numbers that we need to add together. So as an example, we'll take 1.2, 1.6 and 1.8. So I can see here that I've got 1, 1 and 1 in my whole numbers. I've got 2 tenths, 6 tenths and 8 tenths. So I'm going to add my whole numbers together first because that's the easiest part. 1 plus 1 plus 1 equals 3. So that's these numbers here. Done. Now I have to add my tenths. 0.2 plus 0.6 plus 0.8. So I know that if I take my 0.2 and 0.8 are going to give me 10 tenths, which is 1. So if I add them together first, I'm going to have 1, and then I add on 6 more tenths, so I'm going to have 1.6, and I need to add that to my 3. So 3 and 1.6, of course, is 4.6. So these numbers together at the top here, when you add them together, all equal 4.6. Sometimes in decimal addition, you have numbers that you need to add together that look different. We might have a number that looks like this, 1.23, and another number that looks like this, 1.4. So the difference is, of course, this number has ones, tenths, and hundredths in it. This number only has ones and tenths. Sometimes it can seem a little bit confusing to know what you should add and what you shouldn't add. Some people get confused because when they're adding them, they want to add the last numbers together. So they want to add the 3 and the 4 together, but we can't add them together because we know that the 4 is 4 tenths and the 3 is 3 hundredths. So really, the 2 and the 4 need to be added together. To help remind you, when you've got a number that looks like, when you've got two numbers that look like this, to help remind you which ones to add, you can add a 0 on so they both have 3 numbers. It says that you've got 0 hundredths, but it helps you when you're adding because you can remember which numbers get added with which. So if I was going to add them together, I would do it like this. 1 plus 1, my whole numbers, equals 2. Done those. 0.2 plus 0.4 equals 0.6. Done those. And then I don't have any here. I just have my 3 hundredths, so I just need to add on 3 hundredths at the end. And my number altogether is 2.63. Sometimes you have decimal questions where they ask you to get from one decimal number to another. Here's an example. The weightlifter lifted 7.24 kgs on Monday, and then on Tuesday he lifted 8.36 kgs. How much heavier was his weight on Tuesday than it was on Monday? So we need to figure out how much more weight could he lift. I'm going to show you how to solve that by adding up. So what you do is you start with the smaller number. If we start like this, imagine an arrow going up. If we start with 7.24 and we want to add up, add something on to get to a nice tidy number. Tidy numbers with decimals are usually ones that end with 0.00. So the next closest tidy number is 8, just a whole number. So what would we have to add on in tenths and in hundredths to get up to 8? We'd have to add on 0.76. So we'd have to add on 7 tenths and 6 hundredths to get us up to 8. Then we're going to keep going from 8 up to 8.36. So we know that to get from 8 to 8.36, we need to add on 0.36. And then all we have to do is figure out how much we've added on altogether. So over here, I'll work that out. 0.36 plus 0.76. If I add my hundredths together, that gives me 0.12. If I add my tenths together, they make 10 tenths, so that actually makes 1. So my answer is going to be, I added on 1.12 to get all the way from 7.24 up to 8.36. So stop at a tidy number in between.